Hello everyone, welcome to Retail Amit TV. Today I'm joined with Mr. Muhammed Anjum from Circle K Arabia. He's the CEO, he's the leader who actually the team looks up to, who is just growing, evolving with the team and making the brand grow. There's been so much that's happening almost every day, and there's more in store. And we are here, we are excited actually to know more about you today because we've been talking a lot about the brand and its growth, but here let's talk about you today as a leader, So to start with, what's that one word that describes you the best?
One word, I would say visionary. I believe it's a must-have skill in any leadership role. Oftentimes we get bogged down by day-to-day responsibilities and we lose sight of the long-term plan, the long-term vision. And I believe that's where sometimes we miss out on a lot of opportunities to disrupt the market, the opportunities to maximize the potential. So yeah, I would say visionary, yeah.
Okay, but that's your quality. When you manage a team, there's so much at stake and you have to bring out all the best qualities from people. How do you do that? How does a leader do that on an everyday basis? You have your own moods, you have your own ups and downs, but still you have to make the team do it, So how do you do it?
I think communication is key. And obviously leading by example, being the role model, I think it's an absolute key. When you are authentic, when people obviously look up to you as a leader, they buy into your story, the story that you share with them. And if you can manage to align everyone's vision and their career path to the overall larger picture and the objective, and show them the roadmap, how it can benefit the larger team rather than just benefiting myself or the business organization. I think that's where the real alignment happens. And I think empowerment comes with it. If you empower your people to be able to make their decisions and take the responsibility of what they can do and how they can lead within their capacities, I think aligns the team naturally.
Amazing. But do you think work-life balance actually exists given this whole the groove that you are in, almost traveling every day, almost a new store coming up every month, literally? Yeah.
That's right. I think work-life balance is something that we all sometimes ignore, but I believe it's something that should always be at the forefront of any leadership role, because that brings clarity, that brings obviously, the good value system within the organization, the culture that you want to lead. And I think it starts with oneself. Obviously, I have been a victim of sacrificing on my own work-life balance, but then over a period of time, I realized that I have to start with myself, have a good work-life balance to be able to make sound decisions and to be able to then practice that across the organization. A happy team is always a healthy team. A healthy team always produces results. So in this part of the world, and obviously in a startup environment that we are in, every day is a new day, new challenges, like you said. There is a lot happening in the marketplace, and it's very easy to ignore that. I think it's finding that right balance, and I think it's a skill that you build and develop with time if you work on it.
Correct. But it is also said that when you grow up the ladder, it gets very lonely. Do you agree with it?
Yeah, absolutely. All leadership roles are very lonely roles, I think. But I think finding a niche of your time management and also, building that relationship with your leadership team, I think that's where that loneliness, you can reduce it. Because oftentimes, we make the mistakes, leaders make the mistakes of starting to spend a lot of time in their office and then obviously, making strategies from their office or from the boardroom. But I believe it needs to be done the other way around. The engagement, with the workforce, especially, the people who are at the store level. I think if those people are involved in decision making, in the way of workshops, in the way of feedback forums, then I think that loneliness, I think, becomes less and less. This is something which I launched within Circle K recently, to start holding feedback sessions, coffee mornings, coffee with the leaders, where the store teams, they come and they give the feedback on how the customers are feeling, what we should do, which range we should bring into the business. And we realized actually, these are really fun sessions. People get engaged, the communication gets better, and my loneliness becomes less and less.
Amazing. But at the same time, not every day is a winning,
Correct.
and you meet with a lot of failures.
Correct.
Not only in this role, but probably in your past roles. But people generally shy away from talking about failures. But do you do the same, or do you have any regrets, or how do you, look at failure?
I believe failures are part of the journey. I think everyone in a leadership role probably has gone through the same journey, when we become really obsessed with achieving a certain goal and we want to perfect it, we don't want to make a mistake. But then over a period of time, I realized that if we don't make mistake, it means we are not trying, we are not being creative. So I think failures are part of bringing the creative energy into yourself. And then it starts with the leader himself or herself, and then obviously, you pass it on to your team. And if we build a culture of letting the team know that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as we don't let them become blunders, bigger mistakes, and we don't learn from them, and if we keep on repeating them, then that's more of a problem situation to be in. So yes, I have made mistakes. One of the examples I could think of is ignoring the work-life balance, like you mentioned. So that was the big mistake that I made initially in my career, when I was really obsessed with obviously climbing up the ladder, proving myself obviously to the industry peers. But then again, obviously, with a period of time, you realize that actually it's counterproductive. Having a better work-life balance, it only gives me that mental space that allow me to make better decisions and be able to be more engaged with the actual business itself.
But you have a lovely daughter who is actually following in your footsteps.
Absolutely.
And she is actually more ambitious and is there. She's written a book.
Right.
So I think eventually it rubs on the family. Like you set an example, how you were saying sometime back. But how do you stay motivated yourself? What do you do when you feel that I'm losing that energy, or I need to charge up? What do you do?
Right. So again, motivating yourself, the whole motivation phenomenon, I think it starts with oneself. Before you try to motivate others, I believe that you have to self-motivate yourself. And in my opinion, there are different ways to do it. So sometimes, in my case, sometimes I just stand in front of the mirror. It sounds a little bit silly, but you stand in front of the mirror and then you have the self-talk, where obviously, you give a real good critique on what you done, the day before. And then from that conversation, sometimes, you find something to motivate yourself. That's one of the techniques I've used. The other technique that I use quite regularly is, which I started obviously more in the recent past, is putting my thoughts to paper. And obviously, over a period of time, I realized that actually I had the content ready for 3-4 different books, and which I went ahead and published. Because we all have great thoughts, sometimes our own, sometimes that we get from our people that we work with. And I think the more we interact with our people, the more obviously great ideas we bring to the table, and you obviously you then transform them into your own self-motivational practices. And obviously for me, the whole writing piece has been quite motivational for myself. So when there are down times, we all have our doubts, so we all have our fears. And what I tend to do is, when I go into those moments, to bring the positive energy to myself, I either talk to my team, or I go back to something that I've written myself, and I remind myself that actually the solution is there. I need to bring it back to the drawing board. And like you mentioned, obviously, my daughter, she started on the same journey. So to help her and support her to do something, obviously, which I started, I find it motivating myself as well.
And your books motivate us, so that's how the chain grows.
Thank you.
but as an individual, you have learned many things over your journey. But what is the top thing that you've learned from your personal life, which you still carry with you, and one thing that you've learned from your professional life?
Yeah, sure. So I would say from personal life, I think having the power of resilience, I think that's very important. Because life is never straightforward. Life goes through ups and downs. And oftentimes, people obviously give up, during the down moment. So what I've learned over the period of time is that it's okay to go through that down moment. But obviously, being resilient is what, makes us stronger and, allows us to, transition from the down moment to the high moment. Because it's never going to be constant. And obviously, in professional life, I would say the power of empathy. Again, something that I learned over a period of time. Having empathy is really important because that brings in the value system, the whole organizational culture. And oftentimes, I've seen that people sometimes, they don't have the empathy for themselves. So how will they have it for other people? So I think you have to have that empathy for yourself first. Take care of yourself. The food you eat, your own health, your own mental well-being, going to the gym, going for walks, and that allows you to, to feel for your people who are working really hard. And I've realized sometimes, sitting down with someone and saying to them that, what, thank you very much. I know you worked hard, but it didn't work out the way you wanted to. But I feel, obviously, your hard work. But thank you for that. Next time, we can do it maybe in a different way, but thank you. So that empathy, I think it goes a long way. That also builds the strong work culture as well.
Amazing. But that's about the learning part. But you talked about empathy, and retail empathy plays a very big role because it's all customer facing. So that one brand whose customer you are, basically, you are loyal to some brand that you just want to go back to because of their approach to customers, because they bring in the right values. So what comes to your mind?
The brand that comes to my mind, and I'm a loyal customer, ever since I was a child, is Nike. I was fortunate to work for them for 6 years. And obviously, so the transition that I took from being a loyal customer to becoming an employee of Nike, and then actually, experiencing the journey of how they go out of the way to not only create great products, but also, to create that bond with the customers. And obviously, the research and development they do, to build that relationship, not with the customers who are customers now, but the customers for future. The children, obviously, who haven't got the ability to make the buying decision as yet, but they will be in few years' time. So the whole journey is backed up with a lot of science, a lot of data, a lot of research, and also the whole customer experience is literally at the core of everything that Nike does, whether it's an in-store shopping experience or an online shopping experience. And obviously, the same goes for Apple as well. So I think these are the two brands I would say that are very close to my heart. When I need to inspire myself, learn something new, I always try to go back to them and see, what's happening.
And you're bringing those values to Circle K.
Absolutely,
yeah.
100%.
We can see the change, and it's in the making. So lastly, as a leader, how do you see retail evolving? Holistically, what is the expectation or the trends that you see will change the face of retail in the coming few years?
Yeah. I think retail is in a very exciting place at the moment. The market is changing, the landscape is changing, but the best thing about retail is that retail never remains constant. That's why we love retail. You either love it or you hate it. It's the overall immersive experience, that comes with the retail shopping experience. Obviously, the transition is going to happen more towards finding the right balance between brick and mortar and online shopping experience, and having the ability to be able to obviously balance between the both, because oftentimes obviously you can go with the hype. There is a lot of hype in the market around Q-commerce, online, e-commerce, omni-channel, data-based approach, artificial intelligence. These are all there to stay, for sure, 100%. But obviously, it's taking the right steps at the right time. But I think overall, retail is in a great space. people obviously, who love to have the great shopping experience, they will still always come to brick and mortar shops. And people obviously, the Gen Zs and the younger generation, they can equally have similar kind of great experience through online experiences. Digital marketing has gone to a completely whole new level. The customer engagement online has gone to a complete new immersive way and shape and form. So I think we are in an exciting place that we will evolve, with the evolution of the market and the consumers. Obviously, they are the kings, they are the customers. And I think, they're driving the decision making, and we are following them.
Amazing. And with such empathetic leaders like you in the forefront, retail is bound to grow and grow in all the right direction. Thank you so much for joining us today.
For having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right.